What's up, guys? It's your boy Hero, and today we're going to be talking about the Black Desert private server tier list. Now, today, this is all my opinion. Everything I'm saying here is my opinion, but I have a lot of people asking me what class I think you should play, what class that I think is the best, etc., etc., etc. And I'm going to go through all my listing and all my reasoning for why I list these classes where I list them after playing the server for this long. Once again, this is only my opinion. I really don't care if you're angry about the opinion. It's my opinion. This is the way I feel from what I've seen playing the game or the private server so far. If you have different opinions, feel free to leave them in the comments. There's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion, but I don't want to hear any bitching about the shit that I'm about to say here. This is fucking my fucking opinion, bitches. All right. And second of all, this is for the private server only. This does not have anything to do with the retail version. I don't play the retail version, and I don't care about the retail version. So everything I'm saying here has absolutely nothing to do with that version. Please, please don't come in the comments with that dumb shit. I will flame you. All right, let's begin. The first class is Mystic. Mystic is going to be in S tier, which is going to be the top tier of the pool, right? So Mystic is the top tier, the best class in the game, in my opinion. It is the strongest class in PvP. And once again, I forgot to mention at the beginning, this is only PvP. PvE is irrelevant to me. I don't care anything about PvE. If you want to hear someone talk about PvE, go somewhere else. PvP only guide, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Okay, so Mystic is number one. Mystic is the best class in the game right now. If you know how to play Mystic, if you know how to play her, you know how to use all her abilities correctly, she is the best class in the game right now. She has the best CC. She has the best mobility in comparison to the amount of damage she's able to dish out and the amount of CC she's able to dish out. I mean, just look at this shit. She's just amazing. Like, she has everything that on the table for her. She has a lot of protection, a lot of everything. Like, if you want to play a class and you want to guarantee that that class will do well in PvP at this stage of the game, you should pick Mystic. Now, there's another class that's just as good as Mystic, but not as good, but still in the S rank tier, and that's Ninja. Now, Ninja is very, very, very good, especially on this server. But the problem with Ninja is he requires a lot of skill in comparison to Mystic. Mystic does require skill as well, but nowhere near as much as Ninja. The amount of keys you have to input to be a good Ninja is completely it completely trumps the amount you need to be a good Mystic. But that's not to say that you have to be, that's not to say that you have to be brain dead to play Mystic well. I'm just saying, for Ninja, you have to put in more keybind, so therefore it's a lot more difficult to play. Therefore, you have to keep that into consideration when you pick the class. But Ninja is very, very, very good in PvP, and like I said, one of the only classes that can compete with Mystic on this server, but it's still a very, very good class and definitely top tier. Now, we're going to go into the next tier of classes, which would be the A tier. A tier is pretty much just means that they're just a good class. Good classes all around. Not stupid OP, but very good. And we're going to start off with the leader of this pack, Striker. Striker is almost S tier, but not quite, because he doesn't have as much protections and mobility as Mystic. I have no choice but to put him in the A tier. He isn't OP broken in my opinion. He's just very, very good. So Striker is a very good pick if you like the class and you want to, you think it's good and you like playing it. Play Striker. It's a good class. It's not as good as the S tiers, obviously, but he is a good class and you definitely can do a just fine job with him. Now, another class which a lot of people on this server seem to kind of not pay enough attention to, in my opinion, or I don't know, like they undermine it a lot, is Ranger. Ranger is very good on this server, especially considering how much AP you can get on a Ranger or any class in general in comparison to retail. Imagine having a 280 AP shotgun coming at you. Like, literally, some Rangers are so strong on this server that one shotgun can break an entire block. One single shotgun. So, yeah, Ranger is very, very good on this server, especially if you know how to play her. Now, of course, she still has a lot of problems with her kit that have been prevalent to her kit ever since her inception and her awakening as a class. But all things considered, just because of the sheer amount of AP and the damage she's able to dish out at high AP values, makes her a very, very, very good class and definitely belongs in the A rank. Next up is Kunoichi. Kunoichi is also very, very good. She used to be fucking broken on this server, but she got nerfed down a little bit. Now she's just a reasonably very good class, especially when you learn how to play her, learn her keybinds and stuff like that. She is kind of difficult to play, but not as difficult as Ninja. But Kunoichi is a very, very good class. Lots of protections. She's very safe. It's a good class to pick if you like that kind of Ninja playstyle, but you don't want to go through all the input learnings of Ninja. You can definitely hop into Kuno, and obviously Kuno takes skill as well, just not as much as Ninja, but Kuno is still a very good class to go with. All right, next up is Musa. Now, Musa also had kind of the same fate as Kunoichi, where he got nerfed down quite a bit on this server, but he is still very good. Musa at high AP is a very scary thing because Musa has the kind of thing as Ranger, basically, where he can use just one ability and destroy your shield, and because of his mobility and how fast he is, he can get in, poke you for high amount of damage and get out, which is very, very scary. So Musa can be a very, very good class if played properly, and understanding what the flow of the fight has to be when you play Musa. You can't stay in and sit there forever. You have to go in, do some chip damage, get out. That's how you have to play as a Musa. If you play that way, Musa can be a very, very dangerous and threatening class on the battlefield. And lastly, in the A rank, we have our young woman Sorceress. Sorceress is a very good class on this server because of all the iframes that she has. Her amounts of iframes are ridiculous. She's able to, she's always had a ridiculous amount of iframes, but the amount of iframes that she had makes it where she's able to survive a lot longer than other classes are, because in this server, you can't really tank attacks because many people have high AP, so you have to dodge attacks, and because she has so many iframes, it makes her a lot more easy to survive than some other class would be able to. Not only that, but she has a very strong kit. She always has had a very strong kit that balances herself around her playstyle, which is spamming iframes and then doing a little bit of damage, then spamming iframes, maybe doing some burst damage here or there. She also has a lot of high damage ranged attacks in her pre-awakening, which is just very good for her for getting in some poke damage from a long distance away. So if you like Sorcerer's playstyle, Sorceress is definitely a very good class to play. And I lied, she isn't the last class in A rank. The last class in A rank is Dark Knight. Dark Knight kind of has the same thing going for her as Ranger. You can do so much burst damage from far away. Once you get really high AP, that makes her just automatically a very good class to start off with. Obviously, she does have issues. She doesn't have as many iframes as Source does, but she does have enough iframes to where she can survive a lot of situations if you play her correctly. But she's a very high damage potential class, especially once you get high AP, which is what you should be going for on the server. So you can definitely get a lot out of playing a Dark Knight. So those are all the classes that I would highly recommend playing on this server. Everything I've stated so far, these classes are perfectly fine in my opinion, and you can stand on your own. I've seen all of these classes do very well in Red Battlefield as well as in duels on this server. The next group of classes is kind of iffy, wishy-washy. These classes may be okay, but they're you're gonna have to really put in some work if you want to make it work. And what other class to start off in that regard than Tamer? Now Tamer on this server has a lot of issues, but she can be deadly if you know how to play her correctly. You have to just keep in mind that she isn't as well established on this server as she is on the retail server. She has a lot of issues going on with her kit right now, but she is still a very good class if you learn how to play her correctly. She can compete, but you have to play, like I say, you have to play her correctly and very correctly. You have to be very skilled as a Tamer to make it work on this server. So I would only recommend playing a Tamer if you love the class to death and you don't want to play anything else. Otherwise, I would definitely try to convince you to try some other alternatives. Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie isn't bad on this server per se, but she isn't great either. She does have a few issues, but it's not to do with her kit. It's just the way her as a class works. She doesn't have enough burst damage, and that's what you need on this server. You need to do consistent burst damage in order to make it possible to win duels when it comes to high-end PvP. You don't want to be having to combo someone more than once, because they will most likely kill you. If you're going against a ninja or a ranger and they get you in a CC, you're gonna die no matter how much DP you have. So spamming DP isn't gonna help as a Valkyrie, and you have to be able to get that burst damage off. And Valkyrie's burst damage isn't as high as it used to be on retail, especially. And on this server, I haven't yet to see a Valkyrie do a one combo kill. I've yet to see it, but that doesn't mean that the class is trash. It just means that she has a lot of work and hurdles to go over to be able to compete with the other classes. And also the same could be said about Wizard. Now Wizard is always going to be a good class just because of all his mobility, utility, I should say. His heals, his buffs, protected area, all that stuff really makes Wizard automatically a good class. It's just that if you were to take Wizard by itself without putting it in a group fight potential environment, Wizard is completely not as good as any other class. It's kind of lackluster. You can make a Wizard work on this server just like all these other classes I've listed in the B tier, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you really want to be supportive in that group play kind of guy. Don't pick up Wizard. It's just not worth it. And then lastly, we have Zerker. Now, Zerker is good on this server, just like these other classes, but he does have his issues. His protections aren't all there. You have to really be good as a Zerker to make it work. But it is a good class on this server if you play it correctly. I've seen some Zerkers do pretty good here, but you just have to play like flawlessly on this class. And it's kind of the same situation as Tamer, where I wouldn't recommend playing it unless you literally are in love with the class and don't want to play anything else. Now this last tier is the tier called the C tier. This is the tier where I wouldn't recommend you play these classes under any circumstance. Even if you do like them a lot, they just have so many weaknesses and issues that it's just not worth playing it. You're kind of just wasting your time unless you're like me and you just don't care. Like, for example, Warrior. I'm playing Warrior now, but Warrior is not a good class. Ever since they took away his super armor, it has made him very, very weak in both group fights and 1v1 situations. He doesn't have enough protections to justify the change of his super armor, his lingering super armor being removed from the game. So they put him in a very bad spot, and the stamina nerfs made his mobility go down quite a bit. So Warrior has always had one of the lowest damage potentials in the game. So Warrior is in fact one of the weakest classes in the game at this point in time, and I would not recommend anyone playing it at all. Same goes for Witch. But Witch is weak because a lot of her skills are bugged. That's kind of different than Warrior. She's subject to be fixed at one point, and once she is fixed, she would be at the same tier as Wizard, I assume. We'll just have to wait and see, maybe even higher as possible. But for right now, Witch does have some issues that makes her not as powerful as some of the other classes. It's not nothing to do with the way she was developed by Pearl Abyss. It's more to do with the private server. And then lastly, we have the newest class added to Black Desert, Lan. Now, Lan is not good, and it's very, very well known that Lan is not a good class. I think they even say that on retail. Lan just ain't that good. It's just one of those classes where it's not recommended to play it unless you just really want to play it. She has nothing that she can bring to the table that you couldn't get from any other class. Every other class can do anything that she can do, but way better. So there's really no point in playing Lan unless you just want to. But when it comes to PvP, she is the weakest class in the game at this point in time. I think she's even weaker than Warrior, but I'd say her and Warrior are about tied, and I don't count Witch because Witch, like I said, has bugs that will most likely be fixed. But these classes are the way they are because of the way they were developed. So until they get a rebalance, I would not recommend playing either of these classes. All right, so that's the tier list. And once again, just my opinion. Feel free to leave your opinion in the comments below. And also, I have to say that this is for the private server, so I'm expecting all of these classes I'm talking about when you've reached like well over 270 AP and well over like 315 DP, full pen boss gear, full pen weapons, and going towards pen accessories and tech accessories. AP accessories, of course. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about when you're like level 5, when you got fucking try fucking Barris weapons. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you're a late game. That's what this is about, okay? So, if you have any questions about why I made these decisions or why I placed in these classes and tiers I placed them in, feel free to check the comments and let me know what you guys think about this. Also, if you want to join my guild on the private server, it's called Pin. Send me a message in game or send me a message on YouTube, and we could, or in Discord as well, and we could talk about it. Anyways, it's your boy Hero. See you guys next time.